Live in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we're probably already live.
We've been
What's up,
live.
everybody?
Hello, everyone, and
Hey.
welcome to the ComixTribe Live Super Show. I hope that hundreds of you are watching right now, but that's being optimistic. um, I'll just take the time right now to start and say thank you to everybody who's backed the campaign, and if you've not backed the campaign, I will silently hate you forever, but I won't show it. We are on our final victory lap right now. This is the last 2 hours of the campaign, and we just passed the 200% funding mark, which is amazing. I'm really overjoyed and really happy for all of your support, and I'm really happy to just have this project that's been part of my life for years is now kind of coming to a head, and I'm here with some of my favourite people and some of the people who are most close to me over the course of this journey, and I couldn't be happier to be with Steve Forbes, who's the editor of the book, one of the first collaborators in the series. I'm here with Jonathan Rector, the artist in the book, who's going to be drawing some pictures throughout it. And I'm here with Tyler James, the publisher and mastermind of ComixTribe.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. It's great to have the whole family here. I believe Will Robeson, who also contributed some awesome art to the book, will be on a little bit later. We got and some other ComixTribe faithful will be shopping by. We got Cesar Feliciano in here as well, and we'll have Joe Mulvey once he gets away from his keg. And I feel like
He's so much at the moment. He's gonna get some more refreshing, and then he's gonna
yeah,
cut, as they say in Glasgow.
yeah, seriously, I don't know that installing a keg in his man cave downstairs is the best thing for productivity for
One
the
step
future
short
books.
of on an IV, just directly into
Yeah, so for the show, some things that we're going to be doing, we're going to take a trip down memory lane, I think, and since we have the brain trust that started the standard, I want to hear from them. We're going to preview some new ComixTribe stuff down the line. We've got John Rector is going to be doing some live sketching, and yeah, we've got a bunch of prizes. I've been digging into the ComixTribe archives and to pull out some cool stuff that we'll be giving away to backers and just throughout the show. So we'll give away the first thing in a couple minutes. But I think it'd be cool to just sort of start at the beginning, man. And we have Steve Forbes here, and John brought the standard script. I believe Steve was Steve the first person, John, to actually see the script after you, besides maybe your grandma or whoever else you showed it to at home.
Actually, like my family, I didn't actually show them anything about it until I'd finished the comic because I thought they put me off. I still remember when I finally showed my mum the finished comic, and she just looked at it and went, "Well, it's sure money."
The drawing's not bad, right?
Yeah, actually, what she said was, looked at it and said, "Well, I like the art, but can the writing be less bad?" That would be brutal. The first person I showed actually was my friend Jamie. And the original story was back in, would have been late 2008, and it was Jamie that approached me and said, I want to draw a comic. Can you write something for me? And I'd never written a comic before. And Jamie has this kind of scratchy, abstract style. He uses a lot of charcoal, and he's I was thinking you could write some kind of moody, psychological detective, noir drama for me. I said sure. And I went away. 3 weeks later, I was just this kind of superhero epic, and I don't have any idea how to make a comic. At this stage, I think what we're talking about is this epic, ongoing, 10-year opus. We're throwing out all these crazy characters, and it was pretty much originally kind of conceived by the two of us kind of talking in a coffee shop. And I think Jamie knew quite early on. He's like, look, let's be honest here. I'm not the guy that's going to draw this. I'm not the artist that's going to do this. So it kind of went in a drawer and kind of got forgotten about a little bit. And I was browsing some forum. It was Project Fanboy at the time.
Yep.
And I saw Stephen Forbes, who was like reviewing scripts, and this was my first conception of like a comic as a script really as such, you know, and the idea this was something that might get produced, and like I looked at it and I thought this is interesting. It's like, you know, like someone, you know, like this editor giving scripts the Simon Cowell treatment. I'll go and I'll find out what I'm doing wrong if it gets savage, and then I'll listen, you know, it'll be an interesting experience. And I think I actually sent this terrified, timid like message to Steve, like apologise, like please, Mr. Forbes, I apologise for no wasting your time, but I hope you don't mind too much if I send you the script, and you promise not to be too nasty, you know. And I still remember Stephen's
just wait a minute, John. So before I go too far into this, I've been up for about 26 hours now. So if I seem disjointed, folks, that's why. 26 hours and counting. Okay.
Listen to my voice. You'll be the least disjointed person here. It's fine.
So, I'm running the Proving Grounds over at Project Fanboy, and I get this email from this John Lee's person, and he's like, Steve, I see that you're editing scripts online. I also see that you've been writing this column, Bolts and Nuts. Do I need to read Bolts and Nuts before I submit my script? And I said, no, you don't need to read it, but you may want to read it just to know, just so that you could see if you are missing anything, but that decision is totally up to you. And he says, okay, thanks. And a couple of weeks go by, I don't hear anything from him, and then I get another email. Thanks, I read all the bolts and nuts. I fixed some stuff in the script. Here it is. Thanks, I appreciate it. Just try not to be too mean. I don't know where people get this idea that I'm mean from, or, you know.
I still remember the first thing I think the first email back you sent to me, your first line was, I am not an ogre.
Because it's true, I am not an ogre.
No, like I will say though, I think you get a bit of a bad rep, Steve. People go, "Oh, Steve's really nasty," and like, you know, he attacks scripts that are like weak. And I've said, I've read enough of the Proving Grounds. I've seen you can be the most patient, tolerant guy. If someone is trying their best and they're just not very good, you really take the time to try and coax them out and say, "Do this," and encourage them. It's not like bad quality that you can't be bothered with. It's like people that put in no effort and like don't read the instructions and don't follow, because like it's like, I think it's kind of like when you watch like Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares and you think it's not rocket science. If you watch this, have a clean restaurant, like have a smart menu, like look after your staff, like, you know, and there's so many things you can do to have a basic line of quality, then it's all just building from there. And it's when people don't follow the basic instructions you've said again and again and again, and they surely don't care, that's when the kind of evil Steve comes out.
So I get the script and I'm reading it, and it starts out in a flashback, and I'm like, okay, this is cheesy, and then it goes into the present time, and I'm like, that's much better. And then it goes back into a flashback, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Am I missing something? Is it just not? Why am I still continuing to read this? And I go through the entire script, which is something that I hardly ever do at the Proving Grounds. It was my first time reading an entire script for an entry at the Proving Grounds, and I'm like, this man is a mad genius. He is a mad genius, and I am about to, yeah, he needs to get this produced. Let's get this thing produced. John, this is great. It needs some work, but this is great, and we are going to make this better. Here is my deal. So I made a deal. So John made a deal with, you know, a devil, not the devil, but a devil. And now
yeah, like it was. I remember that, like, you know, I do think that, I kind of touch back on something you said earlier on. A big part of it was that I did read all your instructions and I did read all of the bolts and nuts. And even to this day, if someone messages me and says, like, you know, can you give me advice in writing comics, the first thing I do is link them to bolts and nuts and say, read all that, then get back to me. I think it really helped me a lot in terms of like figuring out what to do with that script.
Yeah, and if you're a writer that's listening to this, or a new writer, and you're wondering, but you're new to some of the resources, seriously, one of the best things you could do is just go to ComixTribe.com right now, click on the Bolts and Nuts tab, and start at the beginning. I think there's a little section that says Pouch of Nuts, and that's an itemized, ordered list of all the series, and just read the first 12. If you read the first 12 columns, one column a day, take you 12 days, you will be a better writer, and better than probably 90% of the stuff that ends up getting submitted to the proving grounds almost, just by going through that mini course, which is really what it is. It's a mini course in comic book script writing, the basics that Steve's provided for you and that we've had on ComixTribe for forever. But I read every single one of those articles when Steve first published them. They helped me level up my scripting, and I don't think Steve knows how many people he's touched. And I mean, now you start to look at the ComixTribe table, like everything that is on that, like we're going to be on the main show floor of New York Comic Con this year, guys. The main show floor, right? We've grown too big for small press, that's baffling. And I've actually never met Steve in person.
Me neither. And there's actually a funny story about that.
Yeah.
We almost met each other at 2009 San Diego Comic Con.
How many? He's touched. Things just went green.
We've got Joe in the house.
That is on. We're going to be on the main show floor of New York Comic Con this year. Joe, you're watching and listening. Right.
It takes a little bit of finagling. I apologize. Okay.
You're very green looking there, Joe. Like, that's kind of fluorescent. Yeah, we almost met each other in 2009 San Diego Comic Con. We're trying to find each other in the show floor. I'm not sure if you know, like trying to find anybody on the show floor of a San Diego Comic Con isn't an easy feat. And I think it was like, what was it you were saying? Like, it was try and find me. I'll be at this panel and I'll be like cosplaying as like Scarlet Spider, come and find me. And I was actually walking up to random Scarlet Spider cosplayers and I was saying, excuse me, are you Stephen Forbes? And they were like, I don't know Stephen Forbes. I must have asked about 5 different Scarlet Spiders over the weekend. Excuse me, are you Stephen Forbes? And they're like, no, I'm Spider-Man. But so we had the near miss there, and then you were going to be coming to San Diego 2010. Then something happened, you weren't able to make it. So we've had a couple of near misses. But for me, one of the things I'm most looking forward to about New York this year is finally getting to meet my Yoda, Stephen Forbes.
Yeah, and I mean, every book that's on the ComixTribe table, in some way, shape, or form, has been shepherded there and is there because of the work that Steve has put in. And I don't know when the last time you've been to New York Comic Con, Steve, or if you've ever actually been. It's a freaking sensory overload thing, but we're gonna bring the thunder this year. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Guys, can I just interrupt 1 second? Number one, I don't know where Steve Forbes is, but I am a little starstruck. I have never met Darius Rucker, but I am the biggest Hootie and the Blowfish fan.
Oh,
just excited. It's exciting for me. Am I echoing?
You're echoing.
You're echoing a little bit, Mulvey. And also, because of that green screen, I guarantee you within like an hour of this going out, somebody is going to put Shia LaBeouf behind you. Just do it. Just do it.
Look, like the saddest thing is, I keep saying I'm going to paint my room, and then I'm like, there's just no time to do that. So it does feel like, now that I'm looking at myself in this, it feels sickening to look at this. I wonder why.
I'm always nauseated with a little kid, Joe, but that just heightens the effect.
Yeah, can I go up a little bit so maybe I get some? Oh my God! Even the white ceiling comes off green.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. It's gonna be my first time at NYCC. But it can't be any worse than SDCC. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Kind of like it's getting there, but like it's not quite as crazy as SDCC just yet. But it's getting close. But what were we saying again? Yeah, we're talking about you picked up the standard as a project, and originally I think I sent you an outline for an 8-issue series, and you were like, no.
No.
You said this is never going to happen.
We're gonna go with 6.
So yeah, you tried to talk me down to 4 at one point, and I was
Yes.
like, no, I can't do it. So eventually, like, the compromise was 6 issues at 28 pages an issue. It's quite funny. I was looking back at that original plan, like, that I had for 8 issues, and there was stuff in there, like, that could have been so fun to do, but, like, you know, it's one of these things, kill your darlings. Like, it wasn't essential, so I had to get stopped. Like, there was, like, a whole issue, like, where it was, like, I was focusing on Caroline Cole, who obviously, like, you know, spoiler alert, is like ailing and ill in the present day. But it was a whole flashback story involving Caroline Cole, and she was getting chased through Sky City by a villain called the Steamroller. It was like this villain whose whole lower body was just like a giant steamroller. It was like going through the city very slowly, and she kept to like their ankle and trying to run away. And that would have been a lot of fun to write. Some of these things is not essential, so it gets chopped.
Yeah, but
yes, we got it down to 6 issues, and then the next step was finding an artist. And can you remember that first run of when we put the ad out for an artist, and it was 100 replies we got back over the course of like 2 days?
When we put out that ad, I already knew that I wanted to work with Ray Dillon, but Ray I knew was really busy. Yeah. So we put out that ad, and that response was almost overwhelming.
And the crazy thing about it was, I think for all the 100+ emails, I forwarded every single one to you. You replied to every single one saying, this guy's good, this guy sucks, this guy's whatever. And then, like, I replied back to every single one. Like, you know, we had, like, you know, the form reply for the ones that just sort of and then we had, like, you know, the like, if the people were nearly there but not quite right for the project, we had the reply that was more specialised and saying, I don't think you're quite right for this, but maybe we can contact you about something else in the future. Then we had, like, the ones that we thought were kind of the top tier or maybe we're considering. And maybe the ones who said, like, what's your page rate, what would you do this for, blah, blah, blah. And then from there we narrowed it down further. And it was a really fascinating project, because for me I was like a total baby in the woods. This was the first time I'd done anything like this. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm making a comic. And then I think it was like the first artist, like, who we're going to use, like, sent us that sample page, and that just blew my mind, seeing, like, something I'd written that was drawn as a comic. And I've actually still got that framed somewhere. I had it framed on my wall, and maybe symbolic of how that relationship turned out. It fell off the wall and the frame broke. So I had to put it away. But actually, that was a bad omen when that happened. But, like, yeah, so like, eventually, like, we had an artist, and then they were on the project for a couple of months and then dropped out. Then we got a second artist, and they were involved for a bit. But then the second artist messaged us and said, look, the thing I was working on before has became a much bigger project, so I'm willing to still do the standard, but would you be willing to wait 6 months before we start it? And we thought about it for a bit, and I said, no, I'd rather start with someone else. And I was feeling a bit disheartened by that point, but then it was you that said, look, I found a guy. He never said a reply to an ad, but he's been posting stuff on Digital Web, and he's really good. He's this guy called Jonathan Rector, and he sent me a page of some of the stuff he's been doing, and it was, what was the name of the project? I want to say Key and Peele, but that's like a sitcom. Cord and Harley, it was an Arcana book. He sent me pages of that John Rector had been working on, and I was like, my god, this is amazing. This is the guy we need for the standard. And the rest is history, because I can't imagine anyone else drawing the book now. John just did an amazing job.
Yeah, finding John was, I think it was kismet, because when John Rector got on and just put his stamp all over the standard, I can't see it any other way, really. And I see John is doing some sketching right now.
Yeah, I'm just doing a little, well, hello everybody. I know we haven't really talked too much, but yeah, I'm just going to do a quick sketch while we're talking of, we got the old school standard on the left, and then old Gilbert Graham on the right. But you know what's really funny with this story? That every time I hear it, it's so cool, the epic beginning, that it feels like it had like a huge build-up, a big climax to get right to where we first started.
The darkest time of night.
That's John talking with his script. You guys don't know the private emails he would send me for the things he would ask me to draw. I've got sketchbooks filled with the creepiest stuff. You guys will never know.
Like I said, John is a man of genius.
Than it is. Like, you know, draw me one of your French girls, John.
Nothing's ever scared me more than the John Lee story about his dream of Stan Lee. So I don't care what books you have. He has a Stan Lee story that will make you literally cringe.
Well, the worst thing was about that story was the first time I met Nick Patara, who's like one of my favourite artists, the guy I really admire, and I'm like, "Hi Nick, nice to meet you." And Joe's like, "Tell Nick about your Stan Lee dream," and I'm like,
but hold on, in respect, Nick would like that story.
Yeah,
so
and then it's just with a lot of other American artists. It's like, this guy has a crazy Stan Lee dream, he has to tell you. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if the Stan Lee story is suitable for broadcast. Maybe we'll save it.
I'm learning in real life, and I have seen horrible atrocities in my life right now. But that story still haunts me at night. Still haunts me.
Yeah, come by John dinner at New York Comic Con, and the story's all yours. But
yeah, like, so if you find me at New York Comic Con, say, "Tell me about your Stan Lee dream," and I'll tell you about the dream, but I'm not going to put it on broadcast.
Now, John, one thing that I thought was pretty interesting, and it was actually something that I did as well. You didn't read you didn't read ahead, even though John was working ahead in scripts. You waited until you would finish an issue before even reading ahead for each issue. You talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in hindsight, it was probably a bad idea because there were things that were set up that stylistically I could have done better, I think. But the reason why I waited was a lot of the projects that I was getting up till that point, they were mostly, I don't know if you guys have figured or had this with you guys, but it's like they were just submission packages. So people would send you product where it's like, we want to get this picked up by X publisher. All I need from you is 5 pages or so. And when I got the standard script, there was something fresh about it, and I was starting to treat it like I was a reader, like I was getting the inside baseball before anybody else was getting it, and it was my own my little treat. There's a lot of artists. I don't know if Joe can talk about this, or Tyler, you two when you were drawing, or Cesar. When you guys are drawing, it's like you'll do a book, and the burnout is crazy, but it's that little reward at the end when you finish a book that if it wasn't for that juice, it's very hard to get going again. And I might just be speaking for myself on that, but it was that little thing where I get that email in, and it's like, here's the script, and I'm not even kidding you, I would have a process with it. I'd have it, I'd get my coffee, I'd go outside. If it was snowing, summer out, didn't matter. It was just to be outside. It was like reading a chapter that a friend kind of gave you before it actually got to where it would end up being, the final pages and stuff. So I was more of a fan of the writing itself before I was thinking of the comic in its entirety, which, again, like I started off with, might have been a bad idea, but I have no regrets on the way that I was able to get the story in my own way.
Yeah, because I did offer a couple of times, said you want to read ahead or whatever, and he kept on saying, no, I just want to read it and read like a fan.
Yeah, John, I'm the publisher, and I didn't read ahead either. I waited until the book was ready to print, and then I get a PDF, and I'd start bragging online, being like, "Hey, I'm reading this issue of the Standard." Before I didn't look at any pencils, I didn't look at any inks, I didn't look at any letters or colors along the way. I wanted to read it fresh because I was such a fan of the series too.
So badly if issue 6 just turned into a porno out of nowhere. Yeah. It's like, what have I greenlit?
John, this furry porn, I don't really see this as a payoff. Where's this coming from?
That was the running joke throughout the whole process of producing the Standard. I kept on saying to John, wait till you get to that double-page spread orgy scene, it's going to be amazing. And then, I'd go, we had to cut it from issue 1, but it's going to be in issue 2, just wait for it, it's going to blow your mind, John. We pushed it back to issue 3, but that orgy is something else, we had to add in more.
I told you guys, he was asking me to fill my sketchbook with smut.
But yeah, like, you know, it was quite fun. Like, you know, when there was, like, I think, wasn't it at some point though, like, what was one of the things that backfired, where it was like, you designed, I think it was Dwight Dewolski, and you drew him one way at the funeral scene in issue 2, and then when you got back to drawing him again in issue 4, you forgot that you'd drawn him before, so you drew him a different design. It's like, oh, I forgot to use that guy. And so it does have its downfalls, but I think it's quite interesting because I think, you know, Ian did something similar for Then Emily Was Gone, where like we like with Emily Was Gone, we developed the story together and we kind of talked about it. But then he said after we talked about it, like, I don't want to read ahead. Just send me your scripts and I'll draw the page as I get it. And then I think he was even more extreme than you, but he wasn't even reading the script at one script at a time. He was like, wasn't reading like a page ahead. He'd read the page he was to do it. I'm like, okay, I'll draw this now. And I really could have done it badly. But
all right, guys, I'm going to take a little break real quick in the broadcast or the conversation here because I promised we were going to start giving some stuff away. And yeah, so we're going to start here. So what I have here, this is actually a promotional box that I sent out. I sent out a whole bunch of promotional boxes for the OXYMORON, new OXYMORON miniseries to retailers. Well, apparently this retailer went out of business because this box came back to me. Shows the due diligence I did about the retailers I sent it with. But included in here, we got some cool stuff. We've got some OXYMORON buttons right here. We've got the I Kill for Comics buttons. We've got the Oxy Smiley Face button. We've got a cool wallpaper for the new poster, fold-out poster for the new OXYMORON series. And we've got an OXYMORON Volume 1 artist rare, only limited to 150 copies, artist edition right here, hardcover. So also, I hooked up a random number generator, and I've set the bounds to the number of backers that we have, and just hit enter, and I got a random number. As it turned out, the first number that came up was actually Cesar Feliciano's number. Cesar already has this book. In fact, he did his own cover. So sorry, Cesar.
Oh man!
I'll give you a button, but you're not getting the book. So actually. After hitting the sucker again, number 200 came up. So backer number 200 turns out to be a Steve Henderson Steve's from Naperville, Illinois, and Steve was a backer at the Digital Deluxe $10 level. So he came in for $10, and he's walking away with a rare hardcover, OXYMORON Volume 1. So congrats!
Congratulations, Steve.
Yeah, that's really cool, Jammy Bastard.
Can I just ask you a question? Who was the first backer? Do they have that information?
They do have that information, and I think there was some competition over it. Let me take a look.
Please, very curious as to who the first person was.
I never heard of this guy. Something Joe Mulvey or something.
Mulvey.
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 Not Mulvey. I think
That bastard.
I remember giving my youngest daughter a bottle, and then I remember it went live, so I immediately dropped her. I knew I would get the first thing if it just me, and I was ready and excited. So I'm glad. I believe in John Leeds.
Now, what are you working on over there, Joe?
I used to say I believe in John Leeds.
I do it traditionally. I don't do it like Jonathan Rector on a devil box called the computer. So I just do a little.
Oh, you're doing a skunk.
Skunk.
Beautiful.
So we're gonna put that out there. John Rector, are you coming to New York Comic Con this year?
No, I won't be.
I know a great hotel you could stay at, but that's not important.
Oh man. The stories that come from that. Oh, you guys have
they're definitely partying. They're definitely partying hard at that hotel tonight. I guarantee.
Oh my God! I walked past it in Times Square. It smelled like bleach. But if you really,
oh my God!
Was that what was it? The hotel? Was it the Yotel or something? It was called?
No. You ready? The Out. That's what it was called. Okay, let me just tell you this for those that don't get the hint already, because I didn't when I bought it. When you go in, bunk beds. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
The best thing was that you actually went with your family, you went with your dad and your brother, and you checked and you went, I'm just here with my daddy. And
us Canadians were clueless, right? We just go and expecting the easiest, the best, right? We just go in. I remember coming back after we went out the first night there, and my dad and my stepbrother were there, and my dad was like, "Do you know what kind of place this is?" And as soon as he said that, I looked around. I was like, "Oh, this is a happy place. This is a place of happiness, right?" And you could just tell. And the smell of bleach started coming through, and
it was amazing. But the thing I was going to say is that for anyone listening, I generally take a lot of pleasure in other people's misery, hence why I enjoy John's story. But the real thing is, like, a lot of people have come up to us over the years now at conventions, and like they plant themselves at our booths and at our tables because we're so engaging and so much fun. Like, as soon as you come to a ComixTribe booth, I swear to God, it's like you're going to your favorite hangout, you're going to a comic shop, you're going to a bar. Sometimes I still smell like I just left the bar. And everyone is so engaging, and like we've had so many shows where people are like, oh, this person is, this person in this company or this whatever, and they complain about it. And then they come to us and they just start laughing and having a good time. So along with making really good comics and being really good professionals, like we're a blast. I'm just going to say it. We are a fucking blast at a show.
I've lost the count of the amount of time. Joe Mulvey, like I've been at New York Comic Con, I turned down, and someone's been at the table for like half an hour, 45 minutes, talking to me to Joe, like hands on the shoulder and stuff, having a great time. And the guys walked off. I'm like, is that a friend of yours, Joe? And Joe's like, never met him before.
Yeah, Joe's definitely got that personality, that gregarious personality that's just very engaging, and yeah, you either love him or you hate him, or like me, you just fucking hate Joe. But
hey, Steve, if you're gonna use big words like that, you gotta let us know. We need a dictionary or something.
Sorry, Cesar.
I hate Joe almost.
Bottom line, you're not saying guapo.
El guapo.
It was quite funny though, like what was it like for a I can't remember, was it last year where we did this time where you were for a period were pretending to be me and you were doing your best Scottish accent, and I was pretending to be you, and I was kind of like, standing in my hands with pockets. Joe Mulvey, how you doing? Bada boom, bye scam.
Great. Mine is bad because my Scottish accent tends to turn into some sort of West Indian by the end of it.
I remember walking through New York trying to explain to Joe like how to say the word dreich. And dreich is like a word that you use in Glasgow to describe really bad, terrible, depressing weather. It's so common in Glasgow, we actually have our own word for it, dreich. And Joe's like, dreich? Dreich? I was like, no, it's the that we have in Scotland. I don't get it. But
we're getting into Con Moore stories. Let's get back to the standard.
What's that?
So we're going to get back to the standard.
And
yes, we had to get to standard. Jonathan is on board. And we put together a black and white issue at first to take to San Diego Comic Con. I think we had it for 2010 San Diego Comic Con, was it? And so we had this black and white book. Actually, 1 second, I think I actually still have a couple. 1 second, I'll be right back.
While he's looking for that, I had the pleasure of actually watching John grow as a writer, literally from issue to issue. We had worked out an overall plot for the story for how it was supposed to go, and reading that plot, working from that plot, and watching John grow from issue to issue nearly got me fired. And
Explain.
John says no, but watching John grow from issue to issue nearly got me fired because he was pissed off on issue 3. And we'll talk about that later. But go ahead, show your book, John.
Like I got like 50 of these made in a little local printing shop in Glasgow. Original black and white copy of the standards.
How much are those going for?
Someone's soul I might sell them for. No, I'll save these and one day I'll sell them for millions of dollars, millions of pennies. But is that someone else joined the chat?
We just got Jules.
Yes, hello, Jules.
Hi, guys.
Hi. This is
Hello.
Jules Rivera.
And she's outside.
Hi, I'm in the beautiful San Fernando Valley enjoying a bottle of $2 Jack. How you guys doing?
I am running on fumes at the moment. I was just saying that it's like now 2:35 a.m. in Glasgow, and I'm running on hate alone. But yeah, like so. We took this book around, and I had these images. Oh, I'm going to take this to Image, you know, like, and Eric Stevenson's going to look at this book and go, like, you know, you're discovered. But it really works out like that way. And actually, I think was it Jim Valentino was the first guy I gave it to, and I think he was the first person to walk up to a convention, hand it this book. And I had no idea how to talk to people at conventions or anything. Literally, this was like, you know, one of my first conventions, 2010. And I walked up to said, I've got this comic for you. And he's like, all right, thanks. And I was like, you know, if you want to have a meeting to talk about it later on, I'm happy to tell you more about it. And he's like, you know, maybe not now. And he actually sent me a message back saying he liked the book, but they were trying to do less superhero stuff. But no, I never got a reply from anybody else at the time. And then I think I just kind of went back to, you know, like the writing board or the drawing board and just like started doing the rest of the issues after that point. And I think it was quite an easy decision, like once the whole thing was written, to say, you know, I could spend a year now trying to shop this from publisher to publisher, or I think it was you, Stephen, that said, you know, like my friend Tyler is going to be setting up a website called ComixTribe, and we eventually have hopes of doing it as a publishing imprint. So you made the introductions like to Tyler. You remember like what the original vision was like back in the early days of ComixTribe? Because as I say, this was a good year before you started publishing books, and you were just like a website resource for creators. But the two of you were both saying like, yeah, we do have plans that, you know, eventually to be a publisher and publish our own books. We want the standard to be the opening lineup. So maybe it's good to hand over to Stephen and Tyler to talk a little bit about the inception of ComixTribe.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, man. Yeah, Steve. I feel like I've been talking about so much about where we've been in like the last 6 months, and then where we're going. That man, like just even thinking about the whole start. It seems like on the one hand, it seems like it just happened, and then the other hand, it just seems so long ago. But
yeah,
I mean, I think Steve and I sort of both found each other as people that were putting out content and writing for other people's sites. Steve was really going deep on stuff for writers, and I was doing some writing and art stuff, but also like the self-publishing angle. And I think we sort of found common interest in a common cause to pull together with the ComixTribe, with you know, first to create a resource that would be for creators, sort of getting serious and really trying to make better comics and do a better job with what they're putting out. But also, we didn't just want to sort of talk about it. We wanted to sort of try to walk the walk and open the kimono as we're making mistakes and falling on our face and getting back up and doing the self-publishing thing. And so, you know, that was, even though it would be 2 years before we really got stuff up and running and into Diamond and everything else, that was always somewhere along the vision and the mission. But I think things have happened faster than even I would have thought back in the day.
When Tyler and I got together, I was still writing at Project Fanboy. I think Tyler was was writing at Comics Related. Was that it?
Yep.
And
those articles are still there.
and we were just talking, and I was like, I would like to have just a single place where creators could just come together, like digital webbing. Digital webbing wasn't doing as well as it used to do, but I wanted a digital webbing type of place where creators could come, they could hang out, and they could learn their craft. Because I've seen a lot of really writers. I love you, I love all of you, but a lot of y'all suck.
You are a very, very brutal master. Yeah, anybody who's read Bolton Nuts would, either Bolton Nuts or the Proving Ground.
The Proving Grounds.
Oh, brutal stuff, man. Yeah. You're right, but geez, wow. I hope whoever afterwards has a Band-Aid, good insurance policy, nearby, because man, ouch.
It's not that I'm. It's not that I'm mean. It's not that I'm cruel. It's not that I even take fun. It's not even that I have fun in making fun of really bad writing.
I think both of those are wrong. I believe the opposite. I'm telling you,
having just a little bit of fun.
Across this country, people have little voodoo dolls of Stephen Forbes. Every chance they get.
I must say, the best thing I can say for Steve's defence is there was a script a couple of weeks ago, I think it was in the Proving Grounds, like, read that, and I defy you not to just, like, be Stephen Forbes by the end of that. That would, like, I wanted to gouge my eyes out, and I wanted to, like, cut my own hands off so I could never risk writing anything that bad. It was brutal, and so I think something need a bit of tough love.
I do have a thing about tough love. It's not just enough to show up. You got to actually put in the work. You have to learn your craft. We do the editing for free, myself, and right now it's just myself and Liam. But we've had Liam Hayes, we've had Samantha LaBasse, we've had Steve Cole, and we've had stop giving me his name.
Fellow Canadian.
Another freaking Canadian.
Yannick Morin.
We've had all these really great editors come through to help me with the Proving Grounds, and even though we're doing it for free, we're doing it for the love, and these writers come through and they see that we're doing it and that we're doing it for free, and they're like, "Yay, free editing!" And they don't do their due diligence and actually, punctuation and spelling, and sometimes even format, and it hurts because we're doing this for free. Just pay us the respect of format, punctuation, and spelling, and we can work with anything else. We can work around, not so good storytelling. We can work around that. But yeah, a lot of you writers, I love you. I love all of you. But a lot of you suck because you're not doing what you need to do before you submit to the Proving Grounds.
I think there's like an attitude problem as well, where I think a lot of folk don't want to get their script actually edited. They don't want actual feedback of.
Oh no, they just want a pat on the head.
All they want is someone to go, "Oh my god! Like I've never read a script like that before ever. That's blown my mind. Like you're better than Watchmen. Like I've discovered genius." And they're disappointed when they don't get that reaction. Like that's called like blowing smoke up your arse. Like if you don't, that's not like. It might feel good for someone to just say, "Oh, you're the best. You're so good. You're a genius. I wish I could write scripts like you because you're a rock star." But like that's not actually helpful. That's just like ego massage. It's not actually doing anything useful.
There are very few times that I massage egos. And when John was still submitting, I was like, you know what? I fucking hate John Lees. I hate him. I cannot stand him. What I want to do is I want to scar this man so deeply that he will never write again because he is too damn good. I hate you.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I hate you as well, so it's fine. You're in good company.
That was Fialkov's forward for Emily. He's like, he's like, I read this book, and he's like, I get handed a ton of indie books, and it's almost painful for me to read them, and it's a chore, and I go into them with such jaded eyes. And I've read this, and I immediately wanted to punch this guy right in the face because who is he to come out of nowhere and be this good, And that's that's the real deal, man. But the thing is, it's not that that it just happens. Like, you know, John's first drafts are probably as shitty as most people's, right, John? I mean, you put the work in. He puts the work in. He thinks about this stuff, and I mean, like, you know, and if you've ever read any of John's, you know, Facebook posts or his blog posts or his reviews of indie comics, he takes the same level of just time and effort and thought to everything he does. And there's sort of like a saying, how you do one thing is how you do all things. And I think John is just a good, you know, personification or just epitome of that. In that,
I just think it doesn't take much to like use good grammar and speaking stuff, because it might be unfair, but if I get a message from somebody and they're like, you know, hey, I'm a writer, will you check my script out? And like they have a small lowercase I and they don't use the apostrophe before like the I and like, you know, or after the I and before the M, and there's a typo, like, you know, I'm thinking this guy like obviously isn't that much of a writer, like, you know, if he can't like write a good sentence when he's like asking me to check out his stuff, like, you know, I don't have much hope for like his actual writing. And I think like, you know, it doesn't take much to always take, you know, yourself seriously, or like your language seriously. And I know like when it comes to like my writing group meetings in Glow, I get called the comma Nazi because I'm always the person that's pointing out like, you know, you should have a comma after that person's name there.
Now you know my pain in the proving grounds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a writer, it's what your baseline job. The very first thing you need to do is make sure everything is spelled right and grammatically correct. I mean, that's like an artist who doesn't know how to draw hands or feet.
Yeah. It's just like
you get the other stuff right either.
Yeah, I mean, like commas, especially like the thing that the example I always bring up whenever I'm talking about the importance of commas and the very exciting. It's always a very exciting topic, like in writing group meetings when I talk about commas, but it was one line in a script, I won't say who the writer was, and the line was, "Stay away from my man, bitch," but she forgot to put the comma after man, so it was actually, "Stay away from my man, bitch." Which is a very different thing.
That's a good line.
Almost a better line than what actually was in it, but I see I'm saying the lack of a comma can change the meaning dramatically.
Yeah, and I do hear the occasional pushback from creators saying, "Oh well, you know, it doesn't really matter. The editor will catch that. That's the editor's job." That's sort of like saying, you know, the writer or the artist left you only drew 4 fingers on that guy. Oh no, well the editor will catch that. You know, that's not a big deal, right?
You know what? The inker will do it. Don't worry about it. The inker has it because I'm just doing the pencils. The inker will fix it all up anyway. Screw that. Do your job.
Work with a crappy penciler and like they just kind of expect me to do their heavy lifting. I'm like, why are you making my job harder?
Yeah, so you've been coloring Joe Mulvey lately then, huh?
Yeah.
Joe's fine. I like coloring. Great work. I mean, okay, like there are a couple like little hiccups here and there, but again, it's just one line and then it's done. As opposed to I have to draw this entire guy's whole head because he drew it on backwards or something weird like that. Like, I like working with Joe. I think his artwork just suits my coloring style so well.
I quite agree. Jules and Joe Mulvey are going to be a huge thing together. We're either going to rise to something or we're going to crash and burn at the same time. Very much like ComixTribe. It's going to be very exciting. But the one thing I will say is, like, when Steve talks about these things, there should never be mistakes when you're submitting to an open online critique. If you're Charles Soule and you've got 12 books, okay, maybe you can have that monthly thing where you're leaning on your editor a little bit more. But when you're a newbie and you're coming out there, you got to be sharp and you got to be on point, because even pros have people coming after their jobs. Like, you can't ever just slack. And by the way, this comes from someone who probably is in what I call the Steve Forbes fear group. So I even today in emails or on Twitter, I've been telling the group how I have rewritten a script for my next book 5 times.
Yeah.
5 times. Because I don't want to hand it off because I know it's going to get eviscerated. So
yeah.
I keep.
We've been having this conversation. It's like he's on his 117th draft right now, and it's it's still not ready to send to the editor. I need to make sure it's perfect before I send it to Stephen. And it's like the editor's job is to make it perfect, as long as it's somewhat ready. But
I'm not that bad, folks.
So, when I submitted stuff to Stephen, for the Proving Grounds, I was neurotic. I was going every page going, if I covered all my bases, if I made any stupid mistakes, if I done anything, I want to make sure that it's all. There's nothing there that can get picked up on, and I look at some of the stuff that's submitted, and it's like, did you not even did you not even give your script a proofread? Although I will say I did make a very dumb mistake at one point where one of the scripts I submitted to Stephen for the Proving Grounds, it was one page where I forgot to fill in the lines, and the character just said blah 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 blah, and I forgot to actually fill in the actual lines.
And I thought it was the most genuine dialogue you wrote that whole time.
The
meaning I was hiding. But
what is blah 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 in the Scottish brood? Blah 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 or blah 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 blah.
Blah 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 is what people in America hear when I talk to them.
Right.
Pretty much.
We're not good with accents. We kind of suck at it. We barely speak English very well ourselves. So
exactly.
It's really hard. You have to have words and put them in a row and communicate thoughts. I mean, it's troubling.
When my mother-in-law first met John at New York Comic Con, she was like, "He is such a nice fellow, but I have no idea what he just said." And
people just don't get Scottish accent. It's not like the most common question when I'm in America. Number one question is, "Are you Irish?" And the second most common question is, "Do you know Susan Boyle?" Do you know Obama?
Actually, I do. But the one thing is, not only that, it's one of his selling abilities. So many people come over to the booths and they're like, "Talk to me again, talk to me," and and get it. And the biggest thing, again, because this is a standard show, the biggest thing that's an attraction about John is John literally exudes nothing but excitement for comics.
Yeah.
Dude, we always talk. Tyler talks about this. I talk about this. I know Steven said we expect John to be one of the biggest writers in comics.
I do.
Soon. You know what I mean? Because he just has the passion. The only thing he needs to do is get a jetpack and not live in Scotland. Because I swear, if he was in front of more people over here for conventions, they would absolutely fall in love with him. Because he's.
I'm trying, Joe. I'm trying to get John to produce Rommel and Joe. And he's like, it's on the back burner. This John, Rommel and Joe will win you a freaking Eisner. It will win. Get that thing produced, and
here's the problem. I like Rommel and Joe, and I still like it, but the issue, you're a writer as well, Stephen. You know the same thing that. When you've written something and you look back and it's 2-3 years old, you're never happy with something that's old. You always think, I could do this different, I could do that different. So
I understand.
when I do eventually do Rommel and Joe, I'm going to have to go back, I'm going to have to rework it, I'm going to have to tinker with it, I'm sure.
No. Yes, have I said that enough? No.
I'm confused by your viewpoints. I don't get it. Are you against that?
Well, here's the part of the thing about it, John. I mean, it's never done until you actually, send it off to the printer, and even then, I've still corrected stuff for the trade. I do wonder, though, if you put it in the hands of a talented artist, as pages start coming back, or as you start getting that kind of feedback, then maybe you tweak and stuff. But it might not. It might be the kind of thing where it's time to get out of your hands and into more collaborators. But one thing I will say about John, so the first time I met John was at New York Comic Con, and first day, and we're just starting, and I'm like, okay, we all met each other, all sort of are ready to go, ready to get selling, and I've done a lot of conventions. And at this point, I've probably done 3 or 4 years of conventions. I knew how to sell books. I know the whole thing. John, I think New York Comic Con was like your first.
New York Comic Con was my second comic convention.
It was John's second.
My first convention was 2 weeks earlier. It was at the Queen Margaret Union at Glasgow University. It was a little tiny hall. it was maybe 4 tables there, and I was one of them, and hardly anybody showed up. Occasionally you'd get a student walking in and saying, "Oh, is this an event?" And we go, "Yes." We go, "Is there free booze?" And we'd say no, and they'd turn and walk away again. And that was like my entire experience of comic conventioning. And
John finished that. He's like, "All right, I'm ready for the bigs. Let's go." But so we're there, and it's early in the day, and you know, Thursday's not the biggest day, and we hadn't really made many sales, or we might not have made any sales at all. And John's sort of working the front of the booth, and somebody walks by, and he goes, "Take a look at a book if anything catches your interest." And the guy looks at him like confused and just goes, "Oh, take a book," and he takes a book, and just walks out. And John looks at me, I look at him, and we hadn't sold anything yet. And so he like ducks out from under the booth. "Oh no, sir, I'm sorry, you can't take this book." I said, "Take a look at the book," but and I'm sitting here thinking, "Oh my God, this is going to be the worst. I got a guy who can't, nobody's going to understand. How are we going to sell any books?"
And the problem was, right, Thursday and Friday, I sat behind the table, and they were at a distance because we had that big giant like China Enterprises or something it was called, which had these big extending booths. So everyone was at a distance. So I'm sitting behind the table like this, kind of like, you know, hiya, and like people would walk past. I was like, "Excuse me," and like they just like wouldn't hear me. They were like, cause like we were on the way to the bathroom, so everyone was walking past me, needed to take a dump, and that was the priority. So they were like, you know, like watching them go past. And finally by Saturday, I said, "Fuck this, I've travelled halfway across the world to sell comics. If I'm going to sell comics, I'm selling them." So I started standing in front of the table, and I thought, right, if you need to go to the bathroom, I'm not letting you pass until you hear my pitch. So I'd actually stand in front of the path, and I'd be like, "You, come here." And they'd walk towards me, and I'd start going, "Have you heard of The Standard? Have you heard of ComixTribe?" And I'd have these personalised pitches for all the books, and I'd just be like, you know, like in their face, like, you know, almost grabbing their shoulders, like, "Do you want to buy a comic?" And that worked a bit better.
Yeah, these are advanced con tips for you. Stand outside the bathroom with a roll of toilet paper, doling out plies to people.
But like, that was that first year. Was a Batman cosplayer, and like Tyler's like, you know, don't pitch to that guy. Like, cosplayers never buy comics. But I just pitched to everybody. I pitched books to old ladies. I pitched them to like cosplayers. I pitched them to everybody that walked past. So I'm like, "Batman, you know, you're a superhero. Like, come here and I'll tell you more about this superhero." And I pitched him the comic, and he's like, "Yeah," you know, I was like, "Yeah, I'll buy it." And like, he takes out his utility belt and he opens it up, and he has a roll of 20s in the utility belt, and he takes it out and gives me the money. And I was like, "This is so surreal."
And I gotta say, John stepped up so huge at that show. He was unbelievable. Like, dude, you just stepped up so unbelievably big at that show. Because I remember it almost felt like just an absolute disaster. Like, bad things that were happening all over. We didn't get all the books delivered on time, so I had to run back to my house in Queens and pick up books. One of my buddies died in a car accident one day, so the whole morning I'm like just out. The next day, my wife is pregnant. We were just about to have a kid, and she broke her foot. And I remember being like, "Oh, I have a friend here. They can take my pregnant wife. I got to get back to this convention because I want to sell these books." And my wife's like, "Yeah, it's just I broke a toe. It's a couple toes. I'm fine," or whatever. And I was like, "This is such a shit show." And that was the very day that John like went in front of the table and just became like, I swear to fucking God, if we had a car that day, I swear John could have sold the car. In the zone. I would have bought a Hyundai off him. I would have.
I think I actually sold you a couple of copies of Scam, Joe.
Dude, you were the one I think who came up with "It's a great book. Buy it." You came up with the Joe Mulvey.
Fantastic book. Fantastic book.
Listen to me, next con this October, we're gonna put you out in front. We're gonna shave your head. We're gonna put shoes on your knees. And we're gonna have arms in, and you're just gonna be Joe Mulvey.
Yeah, I just have to my neck in a way.
Speaking of a fantastic book, I have one right here in my hand. This is time for another gift, another bonus. right here. What I have right here is a Scam #1 Artist Edition, number 33 of 100. This one was actually drawn at New York Comic Con, I believe 2 years ago, by Doug Hills, who participated in the Scam Ultimate Collection anthology, is participating in the upcoming Oxymoron 2 anthology, and is one of the top guys, digital comics guys, when it comes to manga studio. He's written the rule books, the textbooks. I know Cesar's learned a lot from him. I'm sure John has checked out some of Doug's stuff from time to time. But yeah, so this is an artist edition, original sketch on the front, full first issue of Joe's opus in here, and my random number generator brought up backer number 140, who is Charles Bill Eldridge, who is backer number 30. I believe he's backed a couple of the ComixTribe projects before, and he's getting himself a standard Ultimate Collection hardcover, and now he's also getting an artist edition bonus, courtesy of ComixTribe, Doug Hills, Joe Mulvey, and the gang. So yeah, congrats, Charles.
Congrats, Charles.
It's a great book. John Lees will sell it to you.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I know, say this. I know Rich Burnell is watching because I just checked my Twitter feed, and Rich is a guy who used to work at Jetpack Comics. I would like to also say that along with the great retailers we have, and Rich was huge at helping us, do a lot of stuff at Jetpack. I can't imagine how we, as a company, haven't been able to grow without the beauty and benefit of Kickstarter. Like, I know we're celebrating John, we're celebrating the standard, but a little bit has to be said about how great it is to kind of bring the creator, retailer base, and all that kind of stuff together with Kickstarter. And I know I get asked a bunch of questions. I pass them right along to Tyler. So, Tyler, just for a quick, short little thing, like, what's next for ComixTribe with Kickstarter? Like, do you see, like, can we finally make a ComixTribe commune, like, once a year in the summer, ComixTribe Day Camp? You know what I mean? I got some kids.
Yeah, that was going to be the stretch goal, Joe. 200K, and yeah, would have been the ComixTribe retreat yacht and all that nine. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it was great this time around to be able to get the thing funded, get what we needed to do to make sure that this hardcover could happen within 36 hours. That was pretty tremendous, and that's not any media. That's not people that might have been seeing some Facebook ads and stuff for the standard. We've gotten that going, and that's really helped as well. But that wasn't even up and running. It's really just us letting our the ComixTribe faithful, the fans, the guys that have been with us for a while, people that discovered John recently and then Emily Was Gone, people that follow us on Twitter, people that have been around for a while, just coming out right away, and it's awesome. It's an awesome thing to have. It's awesome to have that sort of foundation that lets us then take chances on some other stuff. We've got some cool new projects in the works. About 2 years ago, I wrote for ComixTribe, what's ComixTribe's submission policy? And the short answer is we don't have one. I'm very accessible. We have one by default, and that's we look at everything that comes our way, but we're not actively opening up to sort of a slush pile because we're focused on the stuff that we're doing, but at the same time, we're there to help. We're there to point creators in the right direction. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be a book that we can publish because our bandwidth is limited, and and we have, we're not just publishing stuff that is just for us. We now have a fan base that supports us, and so we're actually actively out there looking for projects that we think the people that have gotten us this far are gonna love, and some books like and then Emily Was Gone little bit more off the beaten track from the sort of high concept superhero stuff that have come before. But that was definitely a book that after I had read the first issue, I was convinced that this is a book that more people need to read, and it's worth their time, and so I want to be in the position to bring more of that to our fans, and then also grow the fan base, and get a little bit more diverse in terms of the genres that we do. I think all of us sort of grew up superhero fans and big time, and that was sort of stuff that initially drew us to the comics medium. But that's not necessarily the only thing that we have going. And I think the titles that we've got coming out this fall between OXYMORON, The Loveliest Nightmare, and Exit Generation, and then the stuff that we haven't really announced yet, that's in the works. The book that Joe and I are doing, CounterTERROR, which is soft launching at Boston Comic-Con, and then some other unannounced projects that are coming shortly thereafter, is good stuff. And then we're trying to build something here. So I don't know.
And
what do you guys think
of the book we're doing together? For most of issue 2, you have not seen it yet. Partly because, and I'm trying not to go anti-Apple because I'm an Apple fan, but I'm getting goddamn pretty close. I've had 2 problems with Apple computers lately. It's pissing me off. But I have not shown Tyler a few pages now from CounterTERROR number 2, and I am hoping, and it's a hope, that I think the jump in my quality of art from issue 1 to 2, and 1 is already a big leap forward for me. Number 2 is going to be below your balls off. Because I've drawn like 3 pages where I swear I would put my hand in a Bible. I don't know how I drew them because I don't think I drew them. And that's good. You know what I mean?
That's good because you hate your stuff like the minute after you draw it. But I will say this: that you made a big leap in your storytelling from scam number 1 to scam number 2. It's noticeable. Anybody that studies the storytelling can see that in terms of your panel positioning, your angles, the stuff that you're doing. There's definitely a big leap there. So
definitely, you can always see.
You're telling me there's a leap.
To do. I remember the fun thing. You remember this, Jonathan? When we were doing issue 1 of the Standard, you did think it was the first 14, 15 pages, then you took a break for a couple of months to go finish off a different project that you had, a different commitment, and then you came back to the rest of the Standard, and I think it's like you came back, the first page back was the fight between the Flying Scotsman and the Standard, and like there was a kind of palpable leap. You could see, oh, this guy's hit the next level. Like, it's interesting to see how that happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think like all the artists out there, you know exactly what we're talking about. I will say though, you brought on something there where I was jumping on different projects. The length in between issues, I would hope that there's an increase in like quality as the books go, right? The problem is you don't want that big gap in between them. So I think with a lot of the art in the Standard, there is that jump that you will see because of how long it took us to do. So hopefully issue 6 looks better than issue 1. But what you're saying is exactly true. You can see like a pretty big lump there.
So like from an artist perspective, like when you look back at the Standard, John, like you look at what you're doing in issue 1 and you're looking at what you do in issue 6, how would you say that you evolved and changed, and what do you say when you look at the Jonathan Rector that drew issue 1 and the Jonathan Rector that drew issue 6? Where would you say what would you say your journey was?
I would say that, like, again, the amount of time that it took in between, it's kind of like, your interests in art changes. I think some of us, I don't want to say get stuck, but you like a certain thing, and you go to that, and you try to emulate that, and you get better at it. But as time goes on, I would hope, most artists anyway, you start to look around and start looking at other things, just as, like, I would have to assume for writing, you guys are reading comics, but you also read these things called novels, like books and stuff, and it just like expands.
Pictures in them now.
Right, exactly, yeah. Unless you're those choose your own adventure books, who reads them, right? But yeah, it's like the more you look at, the more you get. And I would always try to find something that would try to keep the energy high, and always look for artists that were out there creating things that were sort of like you turn a page and it would like open your eyes of panel layouts, flow, all that technical stuff. And I look back at the standard now as just one great big learning process of not just making comics, but how serious it started to get. Sort of like what I talked about in the beginning of the project. I was coming off of the tail ends of books that were just pitches to other companies and stuff. And then once this beast started to go like, okay, now we're in issue 2, in issue 3, and we got more to go, it starts to evolve into something that I didn't expect it to be, which is a wonderful experience, because it's things like that come very rarely in independent work that is so important, I find. There's a lot of people I talk to that talk to me asking about art things, this and that, and the number one question that always comes up is like, how do I get work? And that's a different subject altogether, but just seeing how these projects actually change your style and the way that you draw and approach comics in general is amazing. And to say just to study art to get a different style or get better is one thing, but when you're jumping on project to project and those projects are built off the backs of the previous project, you start to see some serious leveling up, because you start to see it as like team, and it's not just you anymore, right? It's not just, oh, I'm the artist, take a look at my book. It's no. It's take a look at the standard. This is our book. I'm just one cog in this giant machine that got this to where it's at.
I think you'd really bring up a good point though, as far as like finishing a story, because from a writer's perspective, I learned so much in terms of the discipline of doing the whole comic, which is easier said than done. There's like, I know, like, it's easy enough to write a couple of pages in an issue 1, but like seeing something right through and getting to the point where you get to write the end at the end of the script, like, I think it does kind of like give you a discipline, like, and that'd be one of my pieces of advice for a writer. Like, one of the most important things I would say is finish the stories that you start. And I think that as long as they're good, if it's shit, don't bother. But no, even if it's shit, like, finish it to see what it goes.
Steve Forbes will tell you it's shit.
Well,
yeah.
No, that's part of my job.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But like, I think the same thing with your stuff as well, John. I think it's the fact that you got to kind of do a whole comic rather than just an issue or a few pages or a sample. You can't, help but learn something like through the process of like going through a whole story.
Yep. And I mean, it's no secret how long it took the book to go, and I went through as an artist and just finding maybe the other artists in the room, you guys can speak to it too. It's not just, you hear this thing like, oh, you grow up, you need to spend some time with yourself to learn to love yourself, that kind of crap. But it's, as an artist, just seeing how you will eventually handle this stuff, or how important, again, all the cogs in the machine are as opposed to just the individuals, it was totally eye-opening. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support you guys sent through emails, just to keep the passion high and just to keep that question going. Like, what is it you're doing this for? What's the end goal? And for a lot of the time, it was just the paycheck. Like, how do I keep food on my table? And eventually, it just gets to the point where it's, you're doing this for the love. The money is the one thing. We all have, most of us, I'm assuming, have the day job. You got no choice. You gotta feed yourself. But when you come home and everybody's gone to bed, you give them the kisses and the hugs and stuff, and you pet the cats, whatever. You turn the light on and it's nighttime or whatever, and you just start hammering it out. And it's only projects like this that come so rarely that I find anyway you're able to do this.
No, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to say that you took a long time to do the book, John. I'll just say that, like, when you started, my hairline was here.
But, I had hair too, man, so I hear you.
But, I think I just kept on saying, like, like, when the book's all finished, it's not going to matter how long it takes. Like, once it's all, like, done, like, you look at this and you say, I did that, I finished that story, like, you'll be proud of it. And, like, we're at that point now, the Kickstarter's been funded, and we're going to have that big collected edition, that I've been talking about all these years that I wanted. And, like, I've always said, for me, the book's going to be complete when we have this book, and now we've got it. So yeah.
Yeah, and with 200% funding, I mean, we're making the book. Like that's the great thing about Kickstarter. Like guys, like the direct market would not support this book. Just the economics of it. Like we could solicit it. Retailers. You know, there might be 200 retailers around the country that would actually buy one, and all in maybe 300 books get sold, and if they sell that one, then they buy another one, and then they buy another one. But because it's non-returnable, and because it's not Marvel and DC or Image or whatever, you know, they're just very, very they're very cautious by nature. And I don't. There's no hate on that. But that's the beauty of Kickstarter is it lets us make the book that. We don't have to cut any corners, you know. We don't have to go with the cheapest printer. We don't have to, you know, skimp on page quality because it's going to save us 30 cents, you know, a book or something like that. Like with the extra funding, with everything, like we can go oversized. We can do just a dope metallic ink cover. We can make a cool variant that only 100 books are going to be made. Like that's just awesome, and that's the thing that Kickstarter is going to let us do, and it's pretty awesome. Speaking of, we're up to 320 backers, so I just updated my random number generator. We're giving out a OXYMORON No Hope T-shirt. And again, that's a little ironic, given that this was actually a pretty good day for our nation's history, I think, in terms of you know getting closer to that more perfect union. So it only was fair for an OXYMORON No Hope T-shirt to go out, and I did my random number generator, and it actually was backer number 2 that came up. So the second backer, the backer hot on the heels of Joe Mulvey, was Patrick Barb. Patrick is. Don't have a city for Patrick, but man, you were in it to win it, and 12:01 I believe on launch day. So Pat, you're gonna get an OXYMORON T-shirt to join to wear with pride, buddy. Thanks so much for backing the show.
If I could just jump in for a second, I have someone on Twitter asking me why does my room look so green.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering that too. Are you planning on doing like a green screen thing back there?
I have a whole sub income that's based on My Little Pony porn, and I don't like to talk about it.
It's okay, man. This is a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
I don't judge.
It's called Rainbow Dash. Disgusting. But
I just think you should have completed the effect, Joe, and came out one of those green motion captures.
No. This is the super inside baseball talk. So if you look at my big, stupid, fat head and completely triangle neck, over my shoulder right here, you will see my daughter's old, like, valance or whatever that's called above the window. Yeah, I took my daughter's old bedroom because I sold her for a really nice profit.
I bought her. She's a very good fighter.
I'm a great dad, you know, because I can always make more. So her old bedroom became my studio, and my old bedroom became my new daughter's studio because that feels good and I have babies. So now I don't have, like, I keep having work, so I don't have time to stop and, like, even my wife and I talk about doing all these different things in here, and it just never gets done. So Michael, to your question, it's just this Skittle Kermit the Frog fresh baby ice cream. It's disgusting. I agree. I don't know anything else to say about it. There's nothing I can do.
I think it's very brave. I think the fact that you didn't go with a beige room says a lot about you, Joe. You're a bold guy.
Listen to me. The balls are still here. Sure, my wife and I get to visit them monthly, but it's not, you know? And just to get back to talking about John and his artwork on the Standard, everyone has different art styles and art types that they like. I personally love John's work because John, to me, is a comics artist. Like, you know, there's an Alex Ross, there's a Jay Lee, there's all these different types of art. There's an Ian Laurie, there's everyone, a Cesar Feliciano. Everyone has a style, but there is something about the people whose style infuses dynamics into the storytelling, like a Jonathan Rector. And that's why, like, when I've been pimping this book and telling people about it, I've been saying how John's writing is superb. And John, I think, is going to be one of the best comic writers. And John writes with passion, and I feel like not many artists could pull off the story like Jonathan Rector could. Jonathan Rector's dynamics, especially with an older superhero, it just sells it completely. And it makes the book better. It makes the book the perfect union of writer and artist that it really is. And
oh yeah, like Jonathan Rector's art's amazing. Like yeah, like it's very nice and very flattered for you to see like John's like amazing writer. But probably like the best gift I have as a writer is choosing an artist who can like make my stuff look as good as someone like John does, and it just jumps off the page. And the amount of times I've been talking to somebody do you make this comic? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, are you John? And I'm like, yes. And they go, Jonathan Rector, you're the artist? And I'm like, no, I'm John Lees. And just and they go, oh. But I just think he's done fantastic work, and it's been a fantastic partnership. And for me, it blew my mind being able to meet John at 2012 New York Comic Con. By that point, we've been working together for I think it was 3 years, and that's the miracle of the internet, where you can have someone that you have met in person, and you can be working from the opposite sides of the Atlantic, and you form a partnership, and it's great. And I still love that photo of the two of us kind of standing in the show floor. That's one of my favourite comics moments.
Well, I know we're just giving you, we're flating you this entire show because it is a congratulatory show. But the truth is, to take your idea from an idea, a script. Stephen works with you. You and Tyler talk about bringing it to the direct market. You meet John. You actually get the books out in the direct market, and then to end and culminate on this huge, oversized, honestly, as a creator, dream edition of your story. I mean, it really is just unbelievably impressive. And I know I've been along for a lot of it and been able to witness it, and that's amazing. But yeah. I really hope that people who, especially Kickstarter backers, who are people who really get involved in the process and want to be part of seeing how the dinner's made, just seeing all this stuff come together and seeing, this whole book is kind of exciting. It's really
Can I sketch one? That's lovely. I love that green.
Yeah, I'm blown away by what the work John's doing here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it's mind-blowingly good. Even the textured effect and the masks is stunning.
Thank you guys. I love you too.
Well, let me just say something about these hardcover, super special, beautiful Kickstarter editions. I think that when you collect a story like the standard and you present it in the package that is now going to be available for consumption by anyone and who is interested, I think just having that kind of quality hardcover, oversized, then they see the beautiful cover, they open it up, they see the beautiful quality of the printing and everything, and then it's just got this amazing artwork and this amazing story that goes along with it. And yes, standard has been finished for a while, but the story of the standard is just now has the opportunity to actually be able to be told and read by a whole mass of people all over the world now. I truly believe that, and I think that with any of the special edition Kickstarter books that we put out as a company, that is absolutely true. From the OXYMORON to the Red 10 to now the Standard, and hopefully other things that we produce. It's giving gravitas not only to Kickstarter, but to the individual creators that are responsible for each of these projects.
I mean, if any of you guys have got any other ComixTribe books, you'll all agree with this. I would put the ComixTribe graphic novels alongside the graphic novels of any publisher in terms of the production values, the paper stock, the quality of the book, like it's just fantastic. It's up there with anybody, and like for me, that was one of the things that I got excited about. Thinking, see my work in this format is a dream come true, and I'm just glad that it went well as it did, because you do get concerned, because I don't think it's a secret to say like the standard didn't set the direct market on fire. I think when I first got that first purchase order email through from Tyler, like you might as well have been accompanied with a wah 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 sound effect. But
yeah, I was pretty gutted too. I mean, it was like the third book we put out in the direct market, and yeah, it's just, you know, definitely a disappointment. We should have got you a billboard, John. I'm sorry.
The billboard was huge. By the way, how come no one's talking about IDW putting out a billboard? Nice to be late to the party second, guys.
Joe Mulvey, groundbreaker.
Also, I think I should say that I think Jules said she was stepping out. I'm not sure if she's away from the conversation. If she is, goodbye, Jules. Thanks for stopping by. I'm not sure if I gave her a proper introduction earlier on, but Jules Rivera is a great colorist I'm working with. They're on OXYMORON, Loveliest Nightmare, and I've now got her in mind, like, to cover like a whole bunch of other stuff for me, because she's just fantastic. She's going to be huge in the future. So thanks for stopping by, Jules. It's appreciated.
In case anyone's looking, I'm going Blair Witch with this thing. I'm just.
Joe's about to start his live.
We're getting a tour.
Well, now I look like a human being, so this might be a little bit more.
Oh, I wouldn't go too far, Joe.
Yeah, human being might be a bit of a stretch there, Joe. Just saying.
I'll take shit from the Scotsman, but not from you, Forbes. Not from me. Only you.
When I give you shit, it sounds so charming, so it's fine.
Joe, green is definitely your color, man. You might want to go back, man.
Yeah, you look a bit like the Hulk.
Hold on. First of all, let's talk about Cesar. Cesar looks like he's working in like some place where they answer phones for a living. Like, look at it. If I call Best Buy tech support, I get Cesar right now, 10 minutes.
Well, at least Cesar would speak, you know, he would be very clearly understood.
Jules looks like she's in the back of Napa Valley. Like she just finished an episode of Silicon Valley.
I'm not gonna lie, it's my third glass. I'm getting drunk live. That's totally
awesome.
Why do you think that came idea?
Sitting outside in the sun, like with a little wine glass, just like, you know, cheers. You know, that's like the life. That's what we should all be aspiring to right now, rather than sitting in our dingy little rooms, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I wish you could see the rest of the sky. It's lovely, like, woo, the sky.
Amazing.
It's really nice out here. I'm working on getting situated back here. You know, so I'll be bouncing either between the beach or the mountains. So you all are going to just totally hate me.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I would sit outside to this broadcast, but I'm in Glasgow, so I'll probably get stabbed. So, just stay here.
Yeah, so let's. I'm going to show a little sneak peek of Oxymoron. And John, what can we tell readers to expect about this miniseries? What do we want to say about that?
I will say that, and remember, this is coming from like the guy who wrote And Then Emily Was Gone. Oxymoron is the nastiest thing I've ever written. It's just such a horrible, mean-spirited book. Like, I'd actually feel guilty about writing some stuff, and like, this is just horrible. And basically, like, my kind of like motivation when I was doing this, and Tyler said, "Let's do this book," and I kind of looked at the Oxymoron, and he kind of, like, you know, he's like, people say, "Oh, he's Joker meets Deadpool." He's kind of like a fun, cool anti-hero figure, and I thought, no, I want people to just hate the Oxymoron. I want them to be scary. I want people to be frightened of the Oxymoron. So I wanted to see how far I could push that. I wanted to take this like Joker archetype and just see how nasty I could make it, and how traumatic and upsetting I could make it, and how much I could like actually make people care about, you know, the people that the Oxymoron was facing. And so I was trying to draw some influence from various places. Like the thing I kept on telling Tyler about, I think he's probably sick of hearing it by now, is kept on saying you have to watch this movie called I Saw the Devil. It's a Korean crime movie, and that's what I'm basing this story on. that and a bit of a Italian giallo horror, and like it's just a really nasty book. And like the pitch I was saying to people at New York Comic Con last year was like, imagine if the Joker showed up in Gotham City and there was no Batman. It was like the real world, and like, you know, so it's this kind of super villain figure, and the only people that are there to fight him are like politicians and the media and like regular cops, and they're just totally out of their element.
I've a lot of blood on it. A lot of blood.
Yeah, it was a lot. Jules is getting to use like the red colour a lot in this book.
A lot of blood used on this book. A lot of blood.
That must be a coloring challenge.
The key is to balance it with a lot of green.
green and red. Perfect. Joe Mulvey's got some extra green.
Yeah, he's got green to spare.
Yeah, I colored that one on the right, didn't I? Yeah. I did that thing.
Yeah,
came out really good.
Tyler, can we go? There we go. Can we go back to that cover that Mulvey did? That thing is insane. Can we get that back up on the screen?
You know,
West London. It's an 8 cover. I can't really take that much credit for it.
Joe, shut up. We're trying to praise you here. All right. There we go. Oh,
yeah, Mulvey after McFarland.
Like on your screen on it now. Yeah, it looks fantastic. That's the kind of tribute picture he did, based on the Spider-Man cover, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, that'll be the variant that the Larry's Wonderful World of Comics variant right there. You can get that at Larry's. He purchased a lot. Big supporter of the tribe, long time, and a fan of Mulvey's work. So you know that'll be there. Couple different variants for the first issue, and we'll have some artist edition variants. Alex Cormack will be sketching up a storm at both Boston Comic Con and New York Comic Con. Snag a artist edition, but we'll probably try to get at least one from all the ComixTribe faithful for that and more. So yeah, really looking forward to this book. I mean, I think John.
John by Jules.
John wrote a great story, and I think Alex Cormack is really a breakout star on this book.
Alex Cormack is going to be huge. It's just like, I can't say this enough, that his art is just amazing. Like when I was feeling like de-energized or struggling to figure out what I was going to do next in the story, I was losing my momentum. All it would take would be seeing the new pages coming in from Alex, and I would be like, now I want to do this. Like, this story's coming alive in my head, and yeah, he's fantastic. He's stunning. And the funny thing is, the story I keep on saying is, when we were first talking about this story, and we were saying who's going to do this, I said I imagine an Alex Cormack type artist doing it. And you'd already chosen Alex Cormack by that point.
Alex's work is going to be revelatory because of the fact that he has such good acting within every single one of his characters. And in a horror book, when your book is based on watching people react to the atrocities you two sick pricks put this town through, I mean, I can't imagine looking at him and not wanting him afterwards.
Sorry, is the chat frozen?
Nope.
No, that's fine. It's just like Joe's kind of image is kind of stuck still there. But yeah, I just Tyler being replaced by a dog because he's holding his dog.
ComixTribe intern Charlie Dog is right here.
But yeah, with the OXYMORON, it was a difficult project because I think it was the first time I was working on something that wasn't my own. It was like Tyler's baby, so you want to try and do something that's in Tyler's world, but at the same time put your own stamp on it. So it was an interesting exercise. In a lot of ways, it's an interesting counterpoint to the standard as well, because the standard was very much like my love letter to superheroes and trying to tell my ultimate hero story and think about what makes a superhero. And then OXYMORON was very much the flip side of that, and looking at villains and saying what makes a villain a super villain, and it's in a lot of ways it's a love letter to the Joker is one of my favourite villains in fiction. Me telling my Joker story in a lot of ways. So yeah, it was fun.
Let me just, again, I keep trying to get back to the standard. I know you guys are both here. I know you guys have other commitments. Is there more stories for the standard? Is there something that, like, later down the road we can see maybe, you know, another series? Or is this kind of like put a pin in it for now and leave it be?
Like I'd always said to John at the time, I originally like envisioned of like the standard as like a trilogy of miniseries, and I had all these ideas for stuff that I was going to do down the line, and like I had this idea of like a villain I was going to bring in a future story called like Schadenfreude, like you know, like which is like the German word, right? It's like a German word that has no English equivalent, which is like something like the joy you take from seeing someone else's misery. And it was going to be this person was like destroying like this, you know, Gilbert Graham's personal life and stuff, and I had all these ideas of doing like a mini series around the theme of like sidekicks. It was going to be like Fabulous, like you know, like the like disabled girl Ashley Mueller, like you know, and like Xena Zartos was going to get her own sidekick, and it was going to be like these Joe and like you know parent figures, and I had a idea of like exploring the concept of sidekicks and how problematic it is, and you know, and I was going to tackle like you know. Like I had there's a lot of little things like little seeds put in that I could have explored in the future, but I don't know. I mean, I think that the standard has like in a lot of ways a kind of perfect ending because it's an open ending, and like you know you can imagine what happens next, and in a lot of ways that's the most rewarding kind of like conclusions you can have, where like you know the ending is whatever the reader imagines the ending is. The world continues on in their minds. I think that's sometimes the best way to end a story. I kind of feel that I want to do something else with John. I'd like to maybe do a new story, like something like totally fresh. I'm not sure like what John thinks. If you'd be up for doing anything else in the future.
Yeah, no, totally. I actually sent an email out to John today talking a little bit about that. But regarding the standard, I think John summed it up perfectly. The story starts and concludes satisfyingly, where I don't think I'd want to draw anything after, before, or the mini-series kind of idea. That seems a little bit more something I'd be into. The one thing that I would say that I felt like the story lacked, and only for a art reason, is more action. And I remember asking John a few times if there was ways that we could introduce a little bit more like fight scenes or something, just to get the superhero side to it, like the people that enjoy just seeing superheroes with the high action, you know.
There's a lot of talking in that book when I look back.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. That's, I think, the charm of the standard. So in saying all that, that's what I would be more interested in doing for the book. I think it stands on its own, and it should. The rest would be supplementary in a way of just expanding the universe for those interested in like what happened possibly before, or even an angle that I think would always be really interesting is when Alex was the standard in the new suit, you know, with the one with, we never actually got a chance to really show that, where in the concept phase he was supposed to have a lot of not stickers, sponsors, sponsorship.
That was like a poor form in that part. That was my mistake, where I should have sent a note to Kel saying fill in these things, but you draw these like squares and things that were going to be sponsors, and then the logos never got filled in. Yeah, like I had all these ideas, and I have a lot of stuff that's in my head, and there's actually like you know, I should probably say this, you know, maybe see what people think. There's actually a secret within like the standard story which nobody has got. I think even Stephen got it.
John, are you going to do this to me?
Ever got that? There's like a secret Easter egg in the story, and the only person that ever got it was Kel Natal, the letterer, messaged me and said, like, you know, is this in this story? And I was like, yeah, you got it. But no one else has ever picked it up. So it'll be interesting to see now that more people are reading it with the Kickstarter if anyone else picks up on this kind of secret element hidden in the story.
You're not even going to give me a little hint, even privately, after all this time.
And still no. You're not gonna...
Oh, it's so gross.
Use that for negotiations going into the next talk.
Yeah.
If you want to draw something, that's number one.
No, like John wants more fights, so the next bit we're going to do is going to be called Dick Puncher, and it's just going to be like all like fight scenes involving like someone getting punched in the dick.
No, I want it to be elderly Death Puncher. I want like wrinkly arms punching each other.
All splash pages like Death of Superman. What's like full page splashes of like Dick Punch, and it's going to be like, you know. And it's,
Right, we're working it out here. Forget who's watching. We're just brainstorming now.
Yeah,
Just go.
Yeah, babe, it's going to be. I'm not sure if you've ever heard the Nick Cave song, like Stagger Lee. Like, you know, when he's killing more and more people, like, and eventually the devil shows up, like, you know, he shoots the devil. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be like he's dick punched everyone on the planet, like Satan comes, like, you know, time to take your soul. No, I don't think so. Dick punch the devil. It's just going to be like, you know.
All right, I'm officially greenlighting this book. Speaking of books, we've got time for another prize. This right here is an And Then Emily Was Gone rare, super rare, artist edition, drawn by Mr. Joseph Mulvey. That's a Bonnie Shaw by Joe. And this one is going to, let's see, that's a good question.
The cover looks beautiful, Joe.
It's horrible. I can't look at it.
In a twisted way, it's beautiful. As beautiful as Bonnie Shaw could be.
Have you found a place for your wonderful Bonnie Shaw commission that Ian Laurie did for you, Cesar?
I have a John. I'll go back inside to my green room, literally, and I have a John Lee drawing in there. I'm telling you, you got to put those up on the wall.
Why didn't you go get it while Tyler reveals who the winner is?
Those are amazing.
Yep, I did my random number generator, number 74. This
Nice.
was James Hake from Fort Myers, Florida, is getting an artist edition.
All right. Way to
So
go,
Mulvey
James.
and the
Congratulations,
James. Here we go. All right.
Congratulations. Enjoy. I think Joe has ran off to get this picture. But yeah, was that drawn at New York Comic Con last year, Tyler, that artist edition?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that was last year, yeah.
I think so, yep.
So the thing I'm really excited about is we're going to have, like, at New York Comic Con this year, this, I believe it's going to be ready for New York Comic Con, this collected edition, isn't it?
Knock on wood, but yeah, we're shooting for an October delivery and getting out to backers. And I had a nice conversation with the printer today, and yeah, all systems go. So we just got to wrap up, get it print ready, and get it off. So yeah.
That for me is going to be the big, like, real kind of like coup de grace. Like, that's going to feel like the victory lap, like coming to New York Comic Con. From being like New York Comic Con 2011 being my first proper comic convention and having like issue 1 of the stand. I think it was issue 1 and 2, and then when we get to this point 4 years later, and we've got like the finished book, and like it's a lovely, you know, collected edition. It's gonna be amazing. Oh, Joe's got a picture here.
Is this it? Can we pick it up?
Wow.
The hilarious thing about this was to put this in the ComixTribe.
Hold on. Here's what you don't really.
And we said
here's
that
what you
original
don't
artwork
see.
by Stan Lee, and we put a price tag on it for $1,000.
Hold on. I gotta get a pen so I can really point at this, but maybe a pencil. Just look at how he gives him just a touch of chub. You know what I mean? Just a little bit over there. And evidently he never had an elbow, which I like about Dave. He's the man that doesn't fear a joint. You know what I mean?
Signed by the great John Lees.
I mean, I don't want to say this, but if Peter Dinklage could play Daredevil, John has drawn him.
I want to say that I think that the showrunners of the Netflix TV series saw this and said, that's the attitude we want for our TV series.
I'll tell you right now, I don't like, and I literally have this on the wall in my room. I don't know if anyone knows what a Hercules hook is. I have Hercules hooks holding stuff up, so I couldn't even take the Hercules hook out. So I opened the frame just to get it out, rather than take a 1-pound computer back maybe about 20 feet. That's the kind of thought process that goes into my life.
Amazing.
But, you know, you're not the only person that had my artwork on your wall at one point. Jonathan Rector, when he was doing the standard, he showed me like his wall in front of his drawing board. This is issue 1, issue 2, and me and like it was my friend Jamie. Between us, drew these fake Silver Age style covers of the standard, which were all increasingly ridiculous. And my favourite one, it was the standard was strapped to this big giant missile, and it was like Zachary Zarthos was like, my communist friends, Joseph Stalin and like Fidel Castro, you're going to join me in destroying America. And like, Fidel Castro and like Joseph Stalin are both standing there saying Heil Hitler. And, which makes no sense, obviously.
Gotta go over big.
And this is like, I sent this to John, and he had it on his wall as like inspiration for when he was drawing the standard.
Well, my fun thing is, again, you got to bring it back to this. The way you signed it. Now, I don't have a mirror to bring this in, but in case anyone does not have dyslexia, it says the great John Lees. It doesn't even just give a signature. You literally put yourself an adjective before all of it. The great John.
That's actually my official name. I got it changed by deed poll. My name is now.
And I think you got to do that everywhere. Add an XOXO to every signature.
Hugs and kisses. That's the best part.
I want to see John write all the pull quotes on the back of this standard hardcover collection.
I was blind before I read this book. It made my dick grow 2 inches.
Good for you.
Oh, God.
Hey, John, we never got around to the story about how I almost got fired.
Oh, yeah, you almost got fired. I wouldn't say you almost got fired.
See, I told you folks that he was going to say that I did not almost get fired. I almost got fired.
No, originally, like, I'd sent, like, Steve, the script for issue 3 of the Standard, and it followed very closely, like, the plans we'd originally came up with when we were doing the series breakdown. By this point, it was like maybe a year ago I'd written this series breakdown, but I followed the plans. They had this scene that I was really proud of. It was like this robbery sequence at the start, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so good, like, I'm hot as shit. And like, I sent Steve it, and he's like, no, I think you're going to have to go back to the drawing board and start over, like, that scene has to go. And I'm like, and so like, for about half an hour, I was just kind of like, fuck, shit, like a fucking sweeping the tables, like, and then I kind of like, and I kind of calmed myself down. I was like, thank you, Steve, for your considerate, but I must most vehemently disagree with you.
Yeah. So like John said, he wrote the story. Well, we had gone through the plotting of the entire series. And from issue 1 to issue 2, there was a growth in his writing, and from issue 2 to issue 3, there was this other leap of growth in his writing. And I'm like, yeah, John, this story that you wrote is not going to suffice. It has an emotional disconnect. And before I wrote that, I was like, he is going to be so pissed at me. He is going to be so fucking pissed. And I'm talking to my wife, and she's like, he's going to be fine. Like, sweetheart, you don't understand. I'm going to get fired. Either I'm going to get fired, or John and I are going to get really, really close. So I wrote the email saying, yeah, this is not going to be satisfying to the readers. You need to rewrite this. How about this plot for this story? So I sent it over to John, and I could feel him seething. I could feel the man seething when he replied back. I was like, yeah, that's barely restrained. If I don't get this right, if I don't make him see just how good he has become, and if I don't make him see just the fact that this story needs this rewrite, I'm gonna get fired, and John is never gonna trust me ever again, and it's over. Go ahead, John.
And I think I said to you, like, I looked at what your plans were and things. I was like, I don't know, but I said, because I trust you, I'll write it, and then if I like your version more, I'll go with your version. But if I like my version more, I'm stick with my version. And you said that's fair enough. And I wrote your version and kind of added some more elements in as well, and it was better. It was no comparison. It was like a better script. It was tighter. It kind of felt more connected to the issue 1 and 2 that I'd written. You had more of Alex involved, and kind of like it felt. And for me, like issue 3 before that felt like another chapter, but thanks in large part to like the notes you made and the recommendations you made, issue 3 then felt like almost like a mini finale in itself. Like it kind of felt like the first arc of the first 3 seasons came to a head, and a lot of stuff, like you kind of like a lot of things came full circle, and a lot of the stage was cleared to then like make 4 through 6 like into like the second half, and kind of like almost 2 distinct segments of the story.
Yeah, and I've said issue number 3 is among the best single issues of any superhero book I've read in the past decade. Like issue number 3 just hit all the right notes for me. I mean, the rest of the series just followed suit with it. But there was a leap from issue 1 to issue 2, and then just a gargantuan just jump in terms of just my investment in the series with issue 3, and yeah, again, it is a nice sort of. It almost does feel like two big acts to the series.
Issue 3 was the issue that I won the SICPA award for in Scotland for like best writer at the Glasgow Comic Con, and in my speech I thanked Steve Forbes because like he deserved much of the credit for how it turned out.
I was just trying not to get fired. I was trying to have you write to your potential, and the story, the first issue 3 that you had written was not writing to your potential, because you had grown so much between that first issue that you had written and what you were doing then, and I was like, wow, I fucking hate this guy, but he's doing just phenomenal things, and yeah.
And that's the thing, though. Like that shows that your dedication, Stephen. Though, because like issue 3 as it was, like it was alright. It was like fine. It was functional, and you could very easily have just said, "Oh, I'll just take an easy time in this," and say, "Yeah, it's fine. Keep on going." And like and there was nothing like egregious there. There would have been this is disastrous, and it would have been fine, but wouldn't be anywhere near as good. But you stuck your neck out and said, "No, that's not good enough. You can go much further," like when you pushed it and you made a risk and said, like what you say, like you did something that could have potentially risked you losing, like like your job or whatever, by saying, "No, I think this should get overhauled completely," and like, but you were vindicated because like it was fantastic and it made it so much better.
Thanks. When I read that new issue and it had come through, and I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is a story that you needed to tell. And when you said, "Yeah, I like this version better," I'm like, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, Steve.
Well, and speaking of Steve's editing chops, here's another book that Steve has edited for us, The Red 10, and we've got another gift going out. These are signed copies by both El Guapo, Cesar Feliciano, and myself of The Red 10. And yeah, we have issues number 6. Both covers. We've got the Kickstarter exclusive cover, and we've got the Red 10 standard version cover. And this is going to go to Michael Perry, backer number 271. Michael also added the Red 10 hardcover. He did a pledge add-on to get the Red 10 hardcover in addition to the standard. And so he's going to pick up the story right where it leaves off in the Red 10 hardcover with issue 6. He's going to get signed copies of both volumes.
Awesome. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, guys, can I get a little bit geeky within our own self-created universe right now? If all the original ComixTribe first launch books characters had to fight, who's coming out on top? Who is the hands-down strongest guy? Not that it's a collective universe, but, I mean, the standard's got to be up there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just curious. Who is it? I'll say this right now. No one in Scam would probably make it. Maybe Pint. Maybe Pint would be in there. He'd be like 27 cervezas deep, and he'd be kicking ass. But who's going to be, for the people who are watching who might be longtime ComixTribe fans, who is the guy? Or the hero?
Flying Scotsman wins, obviously.
I would
Justice America, but he's a corporate douchebag. So
no, you don't have to be a nice guy. I mean, the only in my playground that I could pick is Pint.
I'd probably go with Epic.
And Pint would probably be persuaded to walk off and just go get a six-pack rather than go back to work.
Hey, Steve, that's actually a good choice. Epic.
It all depends who's hanging out with Epic.
Well, there you go. If Mazu showed up, he'd be done.
Where Epic, like Gilbert Graham, goes to teach a class, and Epic's in the class, then they have to team up to fight the Oxymoron, and the Red Ten somehow get involved, and then all the scam guys bust in.
Let's just try this for one brief conversation while we're all here. How about just a one-shot book we do on Kickstarter that is our Image United?
And we'll get 3/5 the way through it, and that'll be it.
Seriously, we all do a scene. Cesar does a scene, I do a scene, Tyler does a scene, we get John to do a scene. I think this is not the most ridiculous thing ever. However,
it's not. Moby, someone would have to do all the layouts, I think, in order for really to make this be one cohesive thing. There would have to be one artist that would do all the layouts, and then we would all contribute what we needed to contribute in that. I think that would probably be the best way to do it.
I'll do all the layouts. I got it.
I'll do it.
Amen. Okay, that's what I was going for, but thank you for jumping in on that.
I'll do the work. I got no problem with that. I'll stay grateful, motherfucker.
I've decided, though, that if the big, giant ComixTribe crossover happens, obviously I'm going to be the big bad of the whole series, because it's been seeded in throughout all of the ComixTribe books, where there's the Lee's Cafes, so I run a franchise of cafes. There's Lee's Ferries, so I also run a ferry business. There's Lee's Cinemas, so I run cinemas as well. Obviously, I'm the Lex Luthor of the ComixTribe universe. I'm this big international conglomerate. So obviously, I'm the big villain that you all have to team up to take out.
No, the big villain is going to be Gilbert Graham. He's going to be mind controlled. But no matter what, it's going to say this in the script.
Did you say the villain's going to be mind controlled? Yuri Bremer.
and I got no problem with that. But as long as the weather is dry.
He's got it.
He finally got it.
So this is happening. We can put it on the books. If anyone's looking, Kickstarter, maybe 7.5 years from now, this thing's gonna really come in.
Yeah, when all our careers are basically done, we're trying to look.
God damn it! I missed that window.
Hey, Mulvey, while we got you here, what do we want to tell people about your new book and our new book, man?
CounterTERROR is pretty much, the quick pitch is, what if Jack Bauer was a Ghostbuster? So Ghostbusters was all fun and cute, but what happened if, people really learned how to use ghosts in a really terrifying way? So the pitch is pretty much, it's terror. It's real terror. It's not like, oh, ghosts just pop up in a dining hall somewhere and we have to take care of it. It's ghosts pop up and they're kind of, used as pretty much terrorist weapons in certain areas. And I don't think, I've obviously never been part of a book like this, but anything that blends emotion with action with political intrigue. I mean, I say what if Jack Bauer was a Ghostbuster? But what if Jack Bauer was a Ghostbuster and put that in the House of Cards world? And it's certainly absolutely one of the most layered projects I've ever been a part of. Tyler's writing the shit out of it. And it's going to be great. It really is. I can't say that it's a unique product unlike anything else in the market. Go ahead.
Well done, John.
So have you got any idea yet when it's going to come out?
Well, we're going to soft launch at Boston Comic Con, and yeah, but you know, the one thing that we've sort of learned over the past year and a half or so is just the importance of being able to launch and then follow up immediately with a month later with the next issue. In the direct market. You know, different markets are different things. Like, you know, the Red 10 is still our top convention seller, and it's not gonna, like, as good as some of these other books are. I think, you know, the Red 10 it's a beast when it comes to convention sales, but it's a book that does need a little bit of hand selling, and then you know, the fact that you know, it's not something that comes out monthly has sort of limited what it can do in the direct market, but that's okay, you know, and you know, by the time we get to by the time, you know, we complete the second volume, these are books that are going to continue to sell for, you know, for a decade. And
that's my question, like, to you guys, like, have you got your plans now for when you're hoping to have the series finished, and when we're going to one day have the ultimate, like, mega collection, putting 2 volumes together into one massive deluxe volume?
Yeah, man, it's all coming. Yeah. You know, we're both working on it.
I'm finishing up issue 8 right now. Here's just a quick. There's one of the pages I'm working on in Manga Studio, but
you too. Stop it,
Joe. I still do traditional, baby. But yeah, so, you know, ideally I want to be done with it and just kind of really finish this thing by this get this done by this year, hopefully, so that the very last issue comes out maybe at the very beginning of next year. And the key with the Red 10 is really collecting it. And I think with any of the books that we put out, you know, I think when Tyler and I started on this project, you know, and he said it's a 10-issue main series, I was just excited to get started on it, you know, and then I realized, holy crap, this is 10 issues. You know, the first issue was like 28 pages or something beastly like that. Or I was like, wait a minute, 28 pages, you know.
Are you bitching about 28 pages?
No, wait, first of all, you put out an omnibus as the first issue. That's not...
Listen to me.
No one does that, Mulvey.
Listen to me. Forget about the Proving Grounds. This is artists talking. Come to the Mulvey Grounds. Let me do the work. Right? And if you can't do the work, we put you out to pasture like a horse. By midnight.
While we're talking about things, going back to CounterTERROR briefly, Joe, you're in a kind of similar situation where, like, talk about Cesar's being like in the mix of it for a while. You were obviously in the mix with Scam for some time. That was your first comics work, wasn't it? Really, your first substantial comics work?
Yeah, it was kind of. Yeah.
So what was it like for you where, like, you had this book Scam, which was a big part of your life. You pretty much, like, you know, became a comic artist through the process of making this book, and then you took a little break. Now you're working on CounterTERROR, which is like your first, so you think it's your first major project since Scam, and it is like you're working as an artist for a different writer this time. Like, you know, what have been the challenges of that?
Number one, I love it because I know now as a writer, when I write a script, I feel as if I'm burdening an artist. I know when I ask for this huge spread, I don't mind doing it to myself because I don't mind staying up late and working 36 hours on a double-page spread. But with especially with Tyler, because I know Tyler so well, it's made me appreciate things like the relationship between comic artists. I understand why the bar after a convention is so much a part of comics, because I don't think I can work with a writer if I don't know him as well. Like I worked with Jason Chiramella on Scam Zero, and that was awesome because we kind of have the same not interests, but we have an understanding of each other for storytelling. And with Tyler, it's even even better because Ty is like unbelievably attuned to me, which obviously he should be because I almost dove out of a car on a bridge with him, so we got really tight. So I mean, like, to me, this book is Ty writing to my strengths that I sometimes don't even know I have, and then now when he'll see the new batch of pages is me trying to level up and show him that he could do whatever he wants with the story, and I'll do stuff as well. So like, it's been a lot of fun not drawing the stuff that I'm writing, which I know sounds like common sense for most artists, but I was more comfortable writing and drawing and doing all that stuff. But now, especially starting with Jason and going to Ty, I feel like it's been a big progression. And the biggest bit of fun I have is kind of like I think when I started hopping on here talking to John, when I first get a script, I read it 5, maybe 10 times, to where I start to read it like a movie in my head. And I think during the first issue, I had this thing of like, can I bring it to life the way I want to bring it to life? Then I started going back and kind of, again, I'm backtracking. Tyler said I took a leap in art a little while ago, and it was because he had suggested some art books to me. So all of a sudden, when I have a story step, I kind of go back to my art books. I did it again, and now from issue 1 to issue 2 is even different. So to make a very long-winded answer to your question, it's been just a great ride all the way through. I'm happy to not be writing when I'm drawing, because I want to be able to do kind of both things and do them separately. And writing with people you know and writing with friends really does result in a way better product. And I can see why there's so much nepotism in comics, and I can see why there's so much stuff where relationships build better creators and creative partnerships. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I'm completely grateful to ComixTribe and Tyler especially, like, and Steve for not kicking me straight in the dick for the first couple scripts I penned. And going on now, man, I turned a corner where I just have really, really a good chunk of confidence. You know, so like CounterTERROR I feel is going to be like balls to the wall awesome, and I'm hoping it's the first, you know, ComixTribe ongoing that really has legs.
So is it going to be an extended ongoing then?
I might have
1,000 issues. 1,000 issues.
1,000 issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a month, we're going to be pushing it on retailers. It's going to be big.
Cool. I'm really excited about it. Like, it's a project I love from the second I heard about it, and I think it's going to be good. I love seeing you two working together because you're already such a great double act. Like, outside of comics collaborations, so seeing you work together is going to be great. It's going to be a dream team. So I think we should work together at some point, Joe. I think it was a lot of fun. We have shared interests in like ritual murder and stuff. We got on fine. I think it'd be all good.
I would do a book with you in a second.
That's gonna, and we're gonna film it. It's gonna be our reality show. I've long said this. We're gonna do a half of the season is gonna take place in Scotland with Joe as the fish out of water over there, and Joe will be subtitled in Scottish. And John will come over.
In Glasgow. I'm not sure if you've seen Deliverance. Where they get in, like, you know, backwoods yokels, like that's just gonna be when Joe arrives in Glasgow. I mean, Glasgow like is literally the only place where you can like expect like someone to punch a burning man in the face, and that is like literally like that's true. Glasgow. One time, someone attempted a terrorist attack in Glasgow. It was to try to drive like a car into Glasgow Airport. Like, so they drove this car into Glasgow Airport, and like it kind of burst into flames, but didn't properly explode. So this guy came out like on fire, like, you know, wielding like a weapon, and this just random Glaswegian guy off the street walked up to him and just punched him in the face. So you know, so that's like the Glasgow welcome. They didn't even know he was a terrorist. Just thought it was like someone.
Hold on 1 second. I have a question. Did that patriot get a medal?
I think so. He was like, you know, I didn't know. I just thought it'd be fun. But like, so yeah.
No problem with his actions. I like it.
So yeah, I think it'll be quite fun. So if you come to Glasgow, we do like Glasgow Comic Con, and then we just like hitchhike to America, and so we're there in time for New York Comic Con. It'll be a blast.
I was just gonna say, I think this year, for anyone still watching, God bless you. Right before New York Comic Con, last year we started a little bit. This year it's gonna be bigger. We're gonna have more people, but we're gonna have like a big house party at my house before the night before the convention.
Awesome.
John came by last year. Joe Eisman was here last year. We had a whole bunch of people come by, and it was a lot of fun. We went out to a bar. We all drank Malort, and don't act like you don't love it. And then this year we're saying, okay, well, everyone will come to Queens. We'll come to my house. We'll have a big party. I think we're going to start the videotaping there just so we have back matter for the reality show when it happens. I cannot tell you how when John walked into my house, John's like, I know that's your daughter. Doesn't even matter. Like,
yeah, no, literally, if you've ever seen Joe Mulvey's daughter is like a mini Joe Mulvey, and she's like, you know, hi guys, we're gonna do a band, and like, you know, so she puts together this little band, like, you know, like she gives like, you know, me,
you played very well.
Gives Tyler a microphone, and she gives like Joe Eisman a set of drums, and like she's like, come on guys, we need to practice to be a band. You know, have you heard of like, you know, and just like a mini Joe.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is this year we added a member because my youngest daughter, who just screams and punches things, I call her my chunk. She just she'll be there, and then we'll start doing this. So in a few years, when we have the reality show, you know, when ComixTribe has its own channel on prime time. We'll have all this taken care of. But this is all doesn't matter unless Tyler steals the ship correct. Because let's be quite honest, if I'm the one behind the wheel, we're going right off the cliff.
Over the edge.
Tyler's behind the wheel, we're good.
Now, while you're talking, can I just like interrupt the show 1 second to show you outside this window?
Is the sun coming up?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue. We are past our broadcast time, so we're gonna. I think it's probably time to wrap it up. Right now, we've got 321 backers for $17,124 for our $8,500 goal. Pretty good. 47 minutes to go.
200% funded. Can't complain with that.
Can't complain about that at all, man. Any final words to the backers there, John?
Again, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you. Like, we're not just for funding the book, but making it oversized as well. I've said that I dreamed of having an oversized hardcover. I've said for years now, I've been saying to Tyler at like the bars at New York Comic Con, like, this book's not going to be finished for me until it's a graphic novel and it's collected, and I wasn't sure we were ever going to get to do it, and like it was going to hang over my head, like this was going to be this unfinished project. And I took it to Kickstarter, and you are nervous. You think, what happens if this doesn't get funded? What if like I'm the person that's responsible for ending like Tyler's like undefeated streak of successful campaigns, and I destroy his reputation like through my shitness? But like, you know, the book was like, you know, like it was great. Like we funded it in 36 hours, and it's kept on going from there. And we've managed to get we've funded some donations to libraries all over the world, which is great as well. We've done so much of this campaign. And people have been so supportive. They've shared links, they've helped promote it themselves, they've given me a lot of well wishes and supportive messages, and it just feels so good after all these years that it really feels like a big victory lap. It's like a vindication of all that hard work. People support this book, and it's just really reignited my love for the project as well. And I've got to kind of revisit it, and I've been doing the web comic commentary too. So I've been looking back at each page and remembering the experience of making it, and I've just fallen back in love with this series again over the process. And thanks to all the backers, and thanks to the creative team, thanks to Stephen who's here for guiding the ship, and thanks to Jonathan Rector who's still here for bringing the book to life and bringing my ideas into comics form. And so yeah, thanks to everyone. Hope you all enjoy the book when it finally arrives, and if you don't, no refunds.
Hey Joe, can you show that sketch? You still have that sketch right there?
Oh crap! Hold on 1 second. We're going back to the green room. Don't get excited, okay?
All right, here we go. Yeah. So final giveaway. It's getting all Blair Witch here.
I'm so sorry. Hold on. Yes. Back in the green room. Okay. I'm taking it off the real artboard, John Rector. Not the computer screen. There we go.
Nice.
There it is. So that's a bonus sketch. We just did a random number generator for backer number 150. And that would be a Mr. Nathan Pepin. So Nathan from Norwich, Connecticut. You're to go along with your standard hardcover. You're also going to get a little bit of Mulvey in your life. So take out the insurance policy now.
It comes with ointment, so you're going to be okay with that.
Any vicious stains and stickiness in that piece of paper when it arrives, you know it.
And with that,
let me wax poetic for 2 seconds, and by 2 seconds, I'm going to 7.5 minutes. I really have to just say how, seeing this book get funded so quickly, seeing the ComixTribe Kickstarter machine that Ty has started. Ty is going to be completely, in my eyes, the Floyd Mayweather of Kickstarter right now. The nice thing about being part of ComixTribe, and I say this to everyone in private, and I'll say it in public for the 9 of you watching, if you really want to see people that make comics that are great people, great creators, I can't speak highly enough about everyone here. And I'll even say it of Steve Forbes.
I was waiting for that.
Everyone really just kind of gets together and puts in their sweat equity and wants to make great comics. Tyler's got a great business mind, and he's surrounded himself with a lot of great creative people. And to see the continued network growth and activity that people have on Kickstarter and helping us get these books funded is phenomenal, because no one deserves better success than Tyler, than guys like John, and I can't even speak to the quality of the book. So if you guys are still watching, you guys are excited about getting this book, just know that you're getting one of the best superhero comics you will ever read in your life. And if you don't agree with that, you come back and you find me, and I will smack you back into reality, because it is definitely not the right decision. But you look at these books, they're great, the quality is great, and it's a genuine honor to watch creators grow, and even Scottish creators. And it's great to watch. It's just great to watch the ComixTribe machine get bigger and stronger every single year. So thank everyone that backed, especially, I'm assuming most of you guys are multiple repeat offenders. You've come back for a lot of our books, and it's genuinely appreciated, so thank you. And thanks to all you guys for making the book happen.
What about you, John? Are you still with us? Did you get any parting words to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that stuck with us and your patience. I really do appreciate it. I was only able to attend one convention, and I was able to meet I would say a good portion of the crew, except Steven, unfortunately. I'm sure I'll meet you very soon. But that one experience in New York was very amazing. I remember one younger fellow, he came back twice. I remember he double dipped. The first day he said that he came back from the year previous, and he really loved the book, and he was seeing if there's anything else. He could only afford the one book, and then he came back the next day. And it was little things like that. That's the spark and that life and that juice, that creative juice that's just, it's special. And I don't know where else you get that, and it's, I don't know if it's part of just being an artist, if it's just being creative, or if it's just being part of the comic book community. It's a high that I don't ever want to let go. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to everybody that's, again, shared, supported, spread the word. Anything that you guys did to help share the book, thank you so much. And finally, I just want to say thank you again to everybody on ComixTribe, everybody that helped with all the work that it took to get the standard to where it is today. And even privately, the conversations we had, it really helped me in becoming the artist that I knew I could be. Let's just say it that way. So again, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it.
Such a humble Canadian.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, and just reminded me there when you were talking before we met in New York Comic Con. I meant to also say a big shout out to Will Robson as well, who was going to plan to join us but wasn't able to. He stepped in to do art, or join Jonathan Rector in art for the last 2 issues. And we first met him in New York Comic when he started as a fan of the book, and eventually grew into an immensely talented artist himself. So thanks for your contributions as well. I know you'll be watching at some point, so thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Will.
Parting words?
Yeah. Steve, anything?
I just want to say thank you to all the backers. Really, really appreciate it. John has put the Johns have put a ton of work, a ton of love into this book, and it shows. And we just want to say thank you for vindicating what they have done. It's just tremendous, and I'm just happy to be a part of it, and to to have kept my job.
Well, yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. Again, thanks everybody for being with us, and I hope you'll stick with us because I think the best is still yet to come. So another good Kickstarter campaign is in the books just about, and you're going to hear a lot more from all of these guys. So stick with us, and thanks so much for the broadcast, and we are signing out.
Good night.